Now let's talk about politicians. Politicians are Pavlovian dogs that respond to two and only two types of stimuli. They do not have souls, so you do not need to share the gospel with them. What I mean by that, politicians, qua politician, as we used to say when I was in philosophy school, as politicians, as a class, are marked by this: the subordination, the placing under, whatever you want to call their humanity, to their ambition. They are ruled by their ambition. This reduces their behavior to the mechanical. Politics is understandable by you because politicians and what they will do is understandable by you. Politics is predictable by you because politicians are predictable by you. And friends, let me assure you this is true. Decades of experience to back it up, and decades and decades and decades of other people's experience to back it up. Politics is manipulable by you because politicians are manipulable by you. Let's talk about the two stimuli that politicians respond to. Well, they are, just like in Pavlov's experiments, they are pleasure and pain. So what's pleasure for a politician? Money! Money for the campaign, money to get reelected, right? Right, absolutely. The number one source of pleasure is money. Good press is pleasure for a politician. See, money comes in two forms. One, money on the campaign, whether it's spent by your campaign or spent by an outside group to beat up your opponent or what have you, money to get elected or to defeat your enemies. That's one form of the money pleasure. The other form is spending other people's money to buy votes in the district. Now you might think, well, you're talking Social Security and welfare. Yes, I am. I'm also talking roads. I'm also talking defense contracts and armaments and schools and the companies whose only real customer is government, cafeterias that service schools, the people that do maintenance, landscaping at schools and government buildings. These people are all on the payroll. The easiest way to get votes, as the Gracchi brothers in Rome found out 2,300 years ago, was to buy them. You've heard bread in circuses. They're not kidding. That's how they got votes. They paid people, gave them more. It's the easiest way to get votes, and guess what? Bad news alert. Both parties love to do it. A couple of people talked about, in a rather hopeless tone, actually cutting the size of government. This is what you're up against. They love to spend other people's money to buy votes in their district. Infrastructure. What else is pleasure for a politician? Being the center of attention, public praise, having someone else attack your opponent, endorsements. If you get endorsed by the Kiwanis Club, who probably can't endorse people, but if they did, and you're a member of the Kiwanis Club and your club endorses the guy, what does that tell you? He's a good guy, you should vote for him, right? Of course. Volunteers, tremendous source of pleasure for our campaigns and politicians. A-plus NRA ratings, which you never actually have to vote to get. Gerrymandered districts to give you an easier re-election. Manipulation of the rules. By the way, if you're ever in control of a local party or something in Virginia, please manipulate the rules to your advantage. Please, don't be like the redistricting commission and be fair. Please stick it to our enemies. That's what rules are there for. Being unchallenged for re-election. Boy, is that pleasurable for them. All right, let's get off of this depressing subject of pleasure. Because look, let's face it. As a movement, we will never have enough money to buy a city councilman for 6 months. much less a majority in the legislature. Let's talk about pain. What's pain for a politician?
Bad press.
Bad press, you betcha. No contributors or fewer contributors. How many of you have ever worked on a campaign that had basically no money? How much fun was that? Yeah, really, really bad mojo. Being forced to spend money is painful. Instead of endorsements, denouncements. Party opposition. Or lack of support. Republicans in Virginia, when they control party apparatus, do that to us all the time. We should return the favor if we have an opportunity. Here's one that the leadership in the legislature uses to control people like Kurt. Undermining of somebody's bills, killing the bills, or if the bills are actually going to pass, making sure one of their buddies passes it and not Jonathan, which might happen. And we'll learn to live with it, frankly. We'll take the policy. They can have the credit. If you need the credit in politics, you're in the wrong side of politics. You better get on the direct personal path to power. Oh, public embarrassment. I once was teaching a class in the middle of nowhere, and there were 90 angry gunnies waiting for us to teach. And some local politicians found out about the meeting, and they wanted to speak first. And the first guy got up, is like, oh, I'm so glad to be here with my fellow gun owners and hunters. It's so great to be amongst friends. They're like, why'd you vote for that AB 15 bill? And the first, you could literally see his face change from the, hi, I'm happy to see you, to, oh my God, I want to get out of here. And he does this little tap dance, gets off, and the next guy cuts it real short, and then the third guy does his thing. He hadn't been in the legislature, but his daddy was a gun grabber in the U.S. Congress, so he got asked about that, and then we threw him out. It was one of the greatest groups I ever taught. They were in a bad mood before I even got there. The number one source of pain for politicians is angry voters. You want to be feared in politics? As Kirk Shelley likes to put it, have demonstrable proof of large numbers of angry voters. Demonstrable proof of large numbers of angry voters. Then you will be feared. And when I say respected, that doesn't mean they're going to respect you personally, Bill. I mean, they might. So it's kind of weird. You beat them up sometimes, and they're actually nicer to you. Others, they're like, hey, never talking to you, you SOB. Blah, blah, blah. But then they vote right. You might think of some others, but that's the major ones. Here's the great news. The great news for us. Pain is stronger than pleasure. The tobacco companies found that out big time in the 80s. They were, behind the unions, the number one giver of campaign contributions, the number one source of money pleasure, until politicians figured out by attacking big tobacco, which, please understand, had 30% of the adult population on their product. And they found out there were votes to be gotten by attacking big tobacco, and big tobacco got wiped out. I mean, because they were all access-based. Please, give me, I don't need 30% of the adult electorate, I'll take 15. And your bank accounts. Let me show you what I can do. I got, to quote Barack Obama, I got game. And besides, it's just common sense. Training, raising children. Yes, it's good to praise, and it is good to praise. Human beings feed on praise and encouragement. But man, when you spank a child, they remember that. I mean, my kids hadn't been spanked in like 10 years, and you would think it was yesterday to hear them talk about it sometimes. Just stays in their mind.